Greetings and welcome to another impressions video here at Words About Games, and today we're going to be looking at Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. Bloodstained is the crowd-funded spiritual successor to the Castlevania franchise by none other than the series creator Koji Igarashi. Players embark on a journey through a gothic castle and its surroundings as Miriam, who needs to get to the bottom of a demon outbreak that threatens to overrun the world. There's a lot more to the story than that, and I mean a lot. The narrative is densely packed. But that pretty much gives you the gist of it without launching into a plot synopsis that 40 video would be proud of. It's kind of all or nothing with Bloodstained. Once you drill into the story, lore, history, and characters, then you need to start making connections elsewhere, else you probably sound like you're making up a bunch of nonsense words and passing it off as a story. It's a lot to try and unpack, and it's not particularly memorable, save for the moments of weirdness that punctuate the overwrought tale, such as the demon barber with the world's worst curse, or the vampire librarian who loans you books. It serves its purpose to get you from point A to point B, giving the game narrative justification for the Castlevania-esque way you slowly unlock more and more of the map with new abilities. Finding those abilities and uncovering brand new areas of the map to explore is what's at the core of Bloodstained, as you'd undoubtedly expect from Koji Igarashi returning to the style he's most well known and loved for. If the subtitle of the game doesn't give it away, this is very reminiscent of Symphony of the Night, arguably the game Igarashi is most famous for and the most popular of the Castlevania series. Finding new areas to explore or smacking down a boss to unlock a new power is a rush, one which has fueled me to play the game into the small hours of the morning a couple of times now. There's an immense amount of satisfaction to checking out a gap in your map and finding a sprawling new series of levels to dive into. There are secrets hidden everywhere, and the pull to keep exploring is strong. I'd constantly feel a thrill whenever I would uncover a new accessory or an HP boost, or when I finally figured out how to progress to the next area and saw a whole new series of levels open up before me. The different upgrades are all pretty great too, with tons of options for character builds that encourages experimentation, especially with the different weapons you'll acquire, which I'll talk more about in a moment. Weapons aside, you'll also be collecting gear that affects various stats, prompting you to figure out whether you want to build your character out to be a damage dealer, a tank, magic focused, or something else. The game's magic system is built around shards that you collect as drops from enemies, and there are a lot of them. They're split into different categories depending on what they do, ranging from passive buffs and familiars to attack and support spells, and you can have 5 equipped at any given moment. Figuring out what works for your playstyle is fun, and it's really satisfying when you find an ability that clicks for you. The right abilities can help you shred enemies. The rest of the Bloodstained experience fluctuates between being great and feeling a bit janky, often simultaneously. It took me a little time to get into Bloodstained's rhythm, but once I did, I'm finding myself really digging its fights. It can feel a bit clunky at first, especially as enemies bound towards you, as Miriam will literally be glued to the ground when you attack. You can mercifully dodge to cancel out of an attack, but strangely, the only move you have is a backstep, which feels a little strange after playing so many action games with full motion dodging. The backstep can often do more harm than good, and I ended up using it as sparingly as possible because more often than not it would put me in an even worse situation. Experimenting with different weapons was the key to me finding a playstyle that suited me. I cycled through a bunch before settling on a small handful that I could get to grips with, and I've mostly settled on the fire whip at this point. Every weapon type is viable, and they come with different types of damage that different enemies are weak against, but the attack boxes are so precise that I found ignoring that in favour of just picking weapons I was more comfortable with to be a far better strategy. Once I defaulted to a whip and a gun, I found myself doing a lot better and having a better time as a result. But as I kept making progress beyond this, the games just started to feel a lot easier. At first I chalked it up to my own proficiency. As I just noted, I could feel myself getting more comfortable with the game. I was steadily accruing new gear and leveling up, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the game just wasn't hitting me with the same level of challenge as it did in its opening, to the point that I'm one-shotting every boss I encounter, even if I keep messing up. After a rough opening, it feels kind of weird that the game doesn't seem to punish me if I mess up. The enemy designs are fantastic though, with each boss encounter being particularly memorable, especially the twin dragon encounter, which I can only describe as epic. Although their AI is absurdly dumb and later levels are populated with just tougher reskins of what's come before, I enjoyed the variety so much that I don't really mind, except for the bats and the frogs. I hate them with every fibre of my being. It probably sounds like I'm being quite negative on Bloodstained, and I didn't even go into some of the more minor quality of life issues in the game, like the compass and menus or the inability to accept multiple quests at once. Yes, there are some issues here, and yes, the game might be an acquired taste, but the things that Bloodstained gets right, the exploration, the enemy designs, the boss fights, the weapons, and combat, far outweighs any negatives the game has. When you're in the flow of it, slowly uncovering the miserable pile of secrets the world has hidden from you, any concerns melt away. Bloodstained is a really satisfying, if a bit janky, experience that you should definitely give a chance. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please leave us a comment, like, or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got tons of awesome videos coming every week, including review impressions, indie game of the week, debate-driven top 5 lists, video essays, and our weekly podcast where we discuss games, gaming culture, and the games industry. We also stream 3 times a week at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. But most importantly, have a fantastic day.